So, welcome to UK GK TV. We've been away for a couple of weeks because there's illness and weather and personal commitments. I'm pleased to say that I am here today. Dave's coming in a bit later on, but next to us we've got Terry Doyle. And Terry Doyle, as anybody knows, is a very popular sculptor. So,
right, thanks for that.
Introduce yourself a bit.
Yeah, Terry Doyle, originally from Liverpool, now live in Rainhill. Just to get into the sculpting thing, about 6 years ago, I was collecting these full-size house limits busts that various people had produced over in America, and they only ever produced them in limited quantities of maybe no more than 10.
Okay, so they were really short run resin kits.
The latex. These are latex.
So they were latex, like mask style things.
Yeah, but you could foam fill them with solidifying foam, so it basically held the shape.
Busts,
And there was one I was after from an episode, Out Limits episode called Counterweight, but the guy who'd sculpted it and produced it, he broke the mould. Now these are plaster moulds for latex, as opposed to silicone, and
so you basically can't help but have a limited run.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you make it out of traditional clay, it's a waste mould, isn't it? You lose the original clay.
No, not necessarily. The stuff I was sculpting with originally was called wed clay, W-E-D clay, which was developed by Walt Disney. So W-E-D is Walt E. Disney.
Okay.
So it's wed clay.
So this was what the clay that these masks were being made out of then?
A lot of them, yes. And it's a water-based clay. The problem with water-based clay is it dries. And in summer, you've got to keep the sculpture moist.
Yeah, we used to put a wet rag over it in the old days. It's like pot clay,
Even if you're putting a wet rag on, that can it can interfere with the detail.
Yeah, it can wipe things off.
If you're not careful. So for the first 3 years of sculpting, which just chanced on by accident, it was recommended to try my hand, and I tried it. And the first few, they showed promise, so I kept at it, and hopefully the skills improved. I'm still consider myself on the learning curve.
I mean, I look at your stuff, and it's got a very distinctive style about it. It's very bold, and it's quite geometric. And what you tend to do, which is what I really appreciate, is you don't in any way enhance the things that you're doing. If I look at your Outer Limits, which we will later on, they look very much like, in terms of surface texture and detail, like the actual original sort of images.
Yeah.
It's you in no way enhance them.
No.
But for me, you capture them perfectly.
Yeah, well, I always try to remain faithful to the subject matter.
Yeah.
I think people who try to reimagine something that's perfectly good, as the old adage goes, if it ain't broke, there's nothing to fix. What I tend to do is, if I'm working on a new sculpture, I'll search the internet for stills, and most stills are just sort of frontal shots.
Face on.
So then I'll play the Blu-ray episodes on my TV. I'll freeze frame them at different angles, and I'll take photographs, so you see the full picture, the side shots, the back of the head, so you come at it from all angles. And as I'm sculpting on my computer, I've got a folder with all these stills, and basically I just click on to a photo that corresponds with the part I'm working on, so it keeps accurate.
So the current stuff you're making out of monster clay?
Yeah, well, about maybe just over 3 years ago, I came down to Dave's place to buy a Darren Harvey sculpture of Mars Attacks. So we got talking, and I said, well, I produce my own stuff, and Dave showed an interest, and he said, well, when you get home later on, send me some photographs. So I've sent him a bunch of photos of stuff that I'd sculpted and produced, and he must have seen something in me, and he said, well, okay, well, would you like to try doing a bust for me? And I said, yeah, sure. So it was Talos. So that was the first one, and I thought, well, up until that point, I'm using monster clay, which is, as I say, it's a water-based clay, and it's
wet clay.
Wet clay.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, maybe monster clay would be better.
Okay.
So for Talos, I started using monster clay, which is an oil-based clay. It doesn't dry out. And whereas heat is your enemy with water-based clay, wet clay, heat is your friend for monster clay.
Because it allows you to sculpt it easily.
Yeah.
And the Talos, of course, is which we'll get onto later, is like one of Harryhausen's creations, and that's something that you're really interested in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Harryhausen movies.
I suppose, like me, and to an extent, Dave, you're as a child, you pick up a lot of images from different things. And, and we were talking earlier about your obsession with the Outer Limits, and it goes way back into the 60s for you when you were a kid, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm a child of the 60s. I mean, the first Harryhausen I saw, I think my dad took me to see it in Liverpool.
Jason the Argonauts?
No, it wasn't. It was Mysterious Island.
Mysterious Island, absolutely fantastic.
Up to that
movie.
point, I didn't know what to expect. We're going to cinema, so I'm sat down in this movie, and that was a pretty good movie. And the next thing, the shipwreck guy, or the the survivors from the balloon, they're on this island, and they're standing on a piece of ground. And suddenly gives way, and it's a crab.
It's a giant crab.
It's a giant crab, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it just blew me away.
Yeah, because that was actually a crab with an armature inside, wasn't it? It was so accurate, wasn't it? It was actually a real crab. So you've brought some graphics in, and I want people to see these graphics because we both go to analog days, don't we? We are like analog children, aren't we? Everything we ever had as a kid was analog. It actually did whatever it was. So when you saw an illustration, it wasn't generated on a computer. It was an actual hand-drawn illustration, kind of the sort of thing I started off doing in my professional career. And I just want to get these up for you to see, because Terry's brought them in, and frankly, one of them I'm thinking, it's the old I am not worthy. So I just
we'll do this one
first.
We'll
do this one first. If you can see that, that's the actual original gouache painting from the poster for Rasputin, the Mad Monk, starring Christopher Lee. Now, you can't see this, but I'm close enough to see where it's been cut out, where the brush marks are, and I can actually see the features of the paint on this. When you see these posters, they're flat and glossy, but when you look at the original artwork, you can actually see the actual input of the artist. You said you got this off the artist's site, didn't you, originally?
Yeah, the artist is a guy called Tom Chantrell, and from the 60s up until the early 70s, he was pretty much the face of Hammer when it came to the movie poster campaigns. He also produced a lot of paintings for movies that never got made. Right, the idea was to sell a movie.
Yeah, they did the poster to sell a movie.
Yeah. So there's a number of Chantrell paintings for projects that never got realised.
This is interesting because this was reproduced as a monochrome poster originally.
Yeah, wasn't it? Tinted in green.
It's tinted in green like Christopher Lee's face. But here you can see that beautiful day glow orange that's been used. And this, which looks like, for anybody, a younger person, you might think that was generated on a computer. That was hand drawn. People in those days, when they did titles, had to draw every individual letter perfectly. So this is a thing of beauty and a joy forever, to quote John Keats. I really think it is. Beautiful.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd mention is this painting was actually censored for... If you look at the bottom, there's an attempted rape scene. And they decided it wouldn't be
too racy for the censors.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea to have it on front of house advertisement. So they did away with the rape scene. I think they rejigged some of the figures. Which would have been done as photographs. Chantrell had his own photographic studio, so he could reproduce things and rejig
So
parts.
he was pretty much in charge of what came out of it.
Yeah.
Because you can see here where we've got this figure is actually collaged onto here, isn't it? This beautiful edge here, but the edge is it's so beautifully cut and feels so natural that you can't actually tell until you really look at it that it's been pasted together.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. Right, can we have a look at the Outer Limits card as well, and a little bit of memorabilia you've got?
Yeah, sure.
I mean...
Right, this is...
Once again, this is hand painted. This is an actual sort of, I think, what do we call it, a lobby card or a commercial...
A commercial bumper.
Commercial bumper.
When syndicated in America, Outer Limits debuted in 1963. For commercial breaks, it would go on to this graphic, and sort of like Channel 3 is just a coverall channel. For the actual individual channels, they would change.
Badge on
they'd change the lesson. But This has nothing to do with Outer Limits other than the name. The astronaut figure is from Destination Moon.
Well, okay.
And the space station is from, I think, Battle in Outer Space.
These are two movies,
Two
aren't they?
movies
Two movies unrelated.
Totally unrelated, but...
The artist that did these kind of illustrations originally was called Chesney Bonastelli, wasn't he? And he did all that.
Bonastelli did a lot of moonscapes.
Did a lot of moonscapes and stuff, yeah.
Not for this, but...
No, okay.
The... Destination
Moon, he painted the rocket and stuff, didn't he?
He did the matte paintings for the backgrounds.
Yeah, the matte paintings. So, well, that's a program in itself.
Show that a bit closer.
Yeah, that's superb. Thanks very much. And you've got some actual memorabilia here.
Yeah.
So let me just get Terry's bust. This is the chameleon, isn't it?
Yeah.
You may have this at home. This is the chameleon, and it's from the Outer Limits. And this is where we sort of segue into one of your main obsessions, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. It's a passion. It's a passion.
So that's the chameleon, and this that you're going to pick up now and show us, that is the actual prop that went round the chameleon's neck.
No, actually, there was three main aliens.
Yeah.
One of them played by Robert Duvall on the makeup.
Robert Duvall.
Yeah, Robert Duvall
from Jaws.
No, I don't think he was in that
Robert
movie.
Duvall?
He was in Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. He was the cavalry officer, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was in the Godfather as Corleone's sort of lawyer. He was in some Twilight Zones as well. So this is one of maybe 4, possibly 5, because in addition to the 3 aliens under makeup, they had the stunt double for Robert Duvall. So when they're running through Griffith Park in North Hollywood area of Los Angeles, they used a stunt double. His name was Dean something or other. I think he'd been an Olympic sprinter or something. So he's diving in around Griffith Park, and he would have had his own prop. So this was produced by a company called Project Unlimited, who worked for the George Pal movies, Outer Limits. Yeah. I'm not sure if they were in War of the Worlds that
George
early.
Pal directed.
Yeah, George Pal directed.
War of the Worlds,
and also Project Unlimited did some of the early Star Trek episodes. Baylock was sculpted by...
Yeah, that's the card on the front of the introduction, isn't it? The bald-headed guy, is it?
Corbomite Maneuver. That was a Hua Chang sculpture, so Hua Chang was Project Unlimited, plus all his various assistants and experts in various fields. Jim Danforth produced some animations, one for Counterweight, and Outer Limits episode. He animated the Plant Creature. The Zanti Misfit was animated. Yeah, they had an animated Zanti Misfit, but I think that was animated by a guy called Al Ham. Right. But yeah, this is one of the props. It's missing.
It's missing the jewel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
but
missing.
Essentially, you can see. So, did you have that in front of you when you actually got to do this?
Yeah. So
that's amazing. That is truly amazing.
I had good
Let's have a
reference
quick
for that.
look at that. That's it. So Outer Limits. Why Outer Limits and not Twilight Zone? I mean, I know the answer to this, but the viewers might want to know. There you go. There's the other one, and this is from episode
Soldier.
I'll
talk about that in a minute. Right, why Outer Limits? I'm also a Twilight Zone fan, but the thing about Twilight Zone is it ran for some like 156 episodes, 4 seasons were in a 25-minute format, and it was structured like a good joke that carried the punchline or a twist in the tail ending. So once you've watched a number of Twilight Zones, then it becomes a case of, well...
Once you're into the format, you can predict the outcome.
You know what the ending's going to be, but Outer Limits was a well-rounded 50-minute episode, classic story structure, beginning, middle and an end.
Had more of a cinematic feel, didn't it?
Well,
it was more like a mini movie as such.
Yeah, producer Joe Stefano wanted each episode to look like a mini feature film, and the production values for the time were outstanding. One of the principal cinematographers was a guy called Conrad Hall. A couple of years after leaving Outer Limits to go into feature films, he won an Oscar for cinematography on Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Outer Limits was created by a guy called Leslie Stevens, who brought his friend along once the series was given the go-ahead by the networks to produce it, and that was a guy called Joe Stefano. Now, a lot of people watching this, you go, who was Joe Stefano? Well, if I mentioned Alfred Hitchcock, what would be one of his most popular movies?
Oh, I say Psycho.
Psycho.
That would be the one I would say.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah.
Psycho, the screenplay for Psycho was by Joe Stefano.
Okay.
So Robert Bloch
was the writer of the original novel,
yeah,
wasn't
he did.
Yeah.
But Stefano changed a lot about it, and with Psycho, if you're watching it for the first time, the lead character, what you think is going to be the lead character, Marion Crane, portrayed by Janet Leigh, she's just stole an employer's money, and she's absconded with it, and half an hour or so into the movie, she gets killed off by him, and then the real star
Anthony
of the
Perkins.
movie, he takes over. So nothing had been done like that before, and they go, wow, they've killed off the lead character. What happens next? So Tony Perkins is the lead character.
If anybody's listening to this and they're thinking, a younger person than myself, I would know who Janet Leigh is. Janet Leigh is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Yeah, she's married to Tony Curtis.
She's married to Tony Curtis. So when you see, these all these names, all these star names, there's a lot of nepotism in Hollywood. But Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, is one of the best products of that kind of nepotistic thing, because she's a good actress and she's in some great movies, and of course she's in Halloween, isn't she?
Yeah.
So in a sense, she kind of reprises that sort of thing with her mother, that she's the possible victim, but in a sort of more postmodern way, she doesn't become the victim, does she? She actually overcomes the villain in the end, whereas the mother ends up dead in a shower. She doesn't. Yeah. So that's good.
Right. Oh, sorry.
So Outer Limits. So this one.
This is a season 2 episode called Soldier.
Yeah.
It was written by Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison, a few years later, wrote the screenplay for one of the best regarded Star Trek episodes, City on the Edge of Forever.
Yeah. And he was famous in his own right as a sci-fi author, wasn't he, Harlan Ellison?
Yeah. Well, he classed himself as an author of speculative fiction. He never liked being called a sci-fi author. Yeah. So this is.
But then again, Leonard Nimoy didn't like being called Spock, but he'll always be Spock.
Okay. So this is Soldier, season 2 opening episode, written by Harlan Ellison. If you're a fan of Terminator, James Cameron basically lifted the plot from Soldier and 2 more episodes, Demon with the Glass Hand, also by Ellison, and another guy, Anthony Lawrence, The Man Who's Never Born. So basically Terminator was based around...
Yeah, it's a pastiche of episodes, isn't it? Yeah.
But chiefly the story elements
is
Soldier.
The Terminator.
That's so. Ellison actually, he was going to sue Cameron for plagiarism, but Cameron went the route of an out-of-court settlement,
and paid him off.
He paid him off, and also subsequent prints being screened of Terminator at the end credits based on the work of Harlan Ellison or something.
Okay.
So that's.
So how would you start that off? Would you start off with like a foil core, or would you build it up with foil, or would you just go straight to the monster clay?
Well, with this one, I've already got a sort of genetic base, and I had a title plate onto it.
Yeah.
From an earlier sculpture, I've had the body shape formed. So basically, I'll take a cast of the base and do a monster clay cast of an earlier sculpture, which I'll just rework.
Yeah.
So it saves time.
So, but you have a sort of, from what you've said and with our brief conversation before we started recording, you like to preserve the work, don't you, as you go along? Is that the case?
Yeah. Well, with monster clay, you can damage it. A misplaced thumb or finger can ruin work. So a lot of the time I'll work in stages, and in stages I'll create silicon molds and resin casts of the work, which you can touch up.
So basically, if you need to take a step back, you've got what you need.
The work's preserved, and I don't have to redo things. So I mean, production-wise, it adds on to the cost, but I don't mind. So.
I mean, am I right in saying that to an extent this is a bit of a labour of love, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I class myself as a hobbyist. To me, it's just. Okay. I mean, I retired early 10 years, so I needed a hobby to keep me active, and when I took up sculpting, it sort of filled that void. And yeah, I mean, if I tried to make a living out of art, I'd quickly starve to death.
We're all artists in our own way, mate, but I've never made a living out of it. That's why I have a proper job. So, one of the other things that perhaps had an influence on you as a kid, it certainly did me, is the old sort of Doctor Who episodes. The kind of, was it Hinchcliffe? Was it,
well, Hinchcliffe was the first season producer for Tom Baker.
For Tom Baker,
Doctor number 4.
Right.
Well, the series started.
John Pertwee?
No, that's Tom Baker.
Tom Baker.
It's a Zygon from
Zygon Warrior.
No, it's just a Zygon
just a Zygon.
Terror of the Autons.
Okay.
That was a private commission. A guy called Mark Collins. Hi, Mark. They asked me if I'd do him a private commission of Zygons. I mean, he buys 2 copies of a lot of stuff. I produce myself, so I thought, I'll do it as Zygon. Right. So this is only one of 2 copies.
There used to be a Doctor Who museum. I think it was in Llangollen years ago.
Yeah.
And I saw the costume for that in the Doctor Who museum, and I must admit I was quite impressed at the quality of the costumes. There was quite a few in there. There was a couple of there was a Centaurian, and there was a different type of Cybermen. But that museum, I mean, it's no longer there, is it? That Doctor Who museum, sadly.
There's a guy called Neil Cole who's opened up a new Doctor Who exhibit.
Okay,
I'm not quite sure what he's based, but yeah.
So did Doctor Who, was that a big part of your childhood? Was it?
Yeah, well, it debuted in 1963, and it just sort of struck a chord with me, and I followed it for probably up until about 1972. I went in the army as a junior boy soldier in 72, so I stopped watching it for basically the best part of 6 years. But a lot of the black and white episodes would be the William Hartnell and the Patrick Troughton stuff. The BBC wiped the tapes. I
know they wiped the tapes. I mean, I got into Doctor Who with John Pertwee. I knew there was Doctor Who before that, but I wasn't really old enough to appreciate it, and then I kind of got into the episodes with John Pertwee, and Tom Baker was a worthy successor. Yeah, absolutely. After that, to me, I kind of lost touch with it. It kind of lost a little bit of its grit. Yeah, no, really.
But I think with Tom Baker, once Philip Hinchcliffe, the producer, left, it was took over by a guy called Graham Williams. Tom Baker was getting a bit too sort of big for his boots. I'm not trying to be unkind, but he was calling the shots and trying to inject a lot of comedy into his performances. Right. So, I mean, still some really good stories, but Tom Baker was calling the shots, and it was going in a sort of slapstick sort of direction. It was almost
like a slightly surreal direction it was going in as well. It got away from the hardcore science fiction time travelling, because previous to that, with Troughton and Pertwee, there was a certain, I don't know, practicality about it, wasn't there? Yep. They were playing the part that was written rather than trying to recreate the Doctor in their own image. Yeah, and I think that was perhaps what we needed.
I think the problem with Doctor Who, certainly the rebooted current series, is that he's been turned into a superhero type character.
It's all you know, with apology to our American viewers. Doctor Who used to be a very English thing, and now it perhaps I'm going to get loads of comments, and please put your comments in. I think it's gone a little bit too far towards an American format.
Possibly, yeah. Well, it's currently produced by Disney. So I think Disney is sort of influencing it, and they're putting in a lot of sort of a political agenda, and it's become very preachy. Yeah. Whereas in the old days, it used to be political, but the stories used to allow the viewer to join the dots. Yeah. Now it's sort of.
It's like the first episodes of Star Trek. They had. Yeah. It was open ended, wasn't it?
Yeah. You form your own conclusions, but now it's the points are sort of belaboured, and it's sort of rammed down your throat, and I don't care for it anymore.
No, I don't either. So this is Night of the Demon. Yeah. This is one of yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to say, and there's quite a few Night of the Demons here in different scales and sort of stuff. Well, this, in terms of the overall sort of structure of it, it's my favourite Night of the Demon that Creature Features do. If you look at the amount of detail on there, and that really does capture, when you see the demon and it comes out of the smoke, and it sort of incinerates people, because it's a fire demon, isn't it? and is it Jacques Tourneur? Jacques
Yeah.
Tourneur. He directed it, and he did Curse of the Cat People, did he?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was famous for
the
not.
the Val Lewton movie.
Yeah. He was famous for not putting the monster in and letting you make up your own mind. And this was probably one of the first times he actually put a creature in. My personal feeling is it's absolutely superb for its time.
I think it was forced upon him.
Was it forced on him?
They said no.
Yeah.
We need
a
to
demon.
have a demon, and it's so.
Because the scenes with just the smoke are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the production values for this time. What was this film? 1950,
59 or something.
58, 59.
Yeah.
And absolutely knockout movie. It was based on a story called Casting of the Runes.
Casting of the Runes.
And basically, if you get given the spell, you're dead. But if you can get out of it by giving the spell back to the person who give it you, and then the demon will go after them. I know that's a spoiler, but if you haven't seen this movie, it doesn't matter if you know the plot. You just need to watch the movie. It's a genuine, scary movie in terms of its intent and its production. Absolutely brilliant. It's like some sort of mad dream, isn't it? It's black and white. You'll recognise all the actors in it, but the demon, I think this is the best demon.
Yeah, well, with the demon, Joe Ladati has done a great sculpture, but I just didn't like the way the teeth. I think the teeth were done perhaps later on.
Yeah.
So I looked at the movie, and you had basically a full face still in front of me. So the first thing I sculpted was the mouth and the teeth. So once I knew that the mouth and teeth were accurate to what I was seeing on screen, the rest sort of followed. And somewhere along the way, someone sent me a production background production still of the actual appliance.
Okay.
And what you do, it's difficult to detect in the screen movie, but from this backstage shot of the bust, he's actually got a mustache.
Almost like a Japanese samurai
like one of those things. Yeah,
isn't it? It's like the mask of a samurai warrior.
Yeah, you don't see it in the movie. It's very vague, but with the still, it sort of added a piece to the jigsaw. Yeah, he's got a mustache.
That's incredible.
So that's that.
That's great. So I've got a Planet of the Apes bust of yours over here, and this is General Ursus. Yeah, Ursus. There you go. Like me, I suppose, a gorilla with a machine gun on a horse. Can't resist.
No, the original Planet of the Apes movie was brilliant. So
you know what I loved about the Apes movies, particularly the gorillas, is the uniforms.
Yeah.
They're those helmets. They're almost like a Greek warrior's helmet, but they have a certain they have a beautiful sort of retro-futurist feel about them, especially with the ape language along the front there. There's like symbolism on the front.
Well, this particular sculpture, it's one or two copies. A friend of mine in Spain, Jimmy Willis, he's actually Spanish, but his father was English. That's why he's got an English-sounding name, and he's one of my admin guys on my Facebook group for movie art. And he'd been asking me for years to go and visit him. So last year, my wife and myself, we went down to Tenerife to see Jimmy, and he was the perfect host. He would take us out every day. He would take us to the area where a million years BC with Racco Welch filmed.
Harryhausen.
The volcanic area. And he'd take us to his club and to restaurants. And he wouldn't let me put my hand in my pocket to pay for anything. He paid for everything. So I'm like, Jimmy, what can I do to repay you? And he said, can you do me General Ursus?
Fantastic.
No problem. So
General Ursus, obviously one of the gorillas. I think the one in the TV series was General Urko, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's just slightly based on that. But this is from the original Apes movie, isn't it? This is the original Apes movie.
Well, there's an interesting side for you. The guy who provided the apes makeup and masks for the original Planet of the Apes movie was John Chambers. I think he won an Oscar for his work.
I think he did, didn't he?
Now, John Chambers worked on an Outer Limits episode called The Sixth Finger.
Okay.
And it stars David McCallum as a futurist, man of the future.
Kuryakin from Man from Uncle.
Yeah, so at the time, a number of British actors were over in Hollywood filming The Greatest Story Ever Told. Right. And while they were in Hollywood...
He was one of the disciples, wasn't he?
Yeah, while they were in Hollywood... the casting director of Outer Limits said, well, why don't we get some of these British actors
because they were
to come
trendy.
over
They were
to Outer
trendy at the
Limits?
time, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Particularly like David McCullum. He was almost like a rock star actor, wasn't he? At
Yeah,
the time, he was like
yeah.
the trendiest thing in there. Right, so Harryhausen.
Oh, right. You want
We
do
have
the
to jump
Cyclops?
cut this to Harryhausen.
Which
and
one?
like me, you're a big fan of Harryhausen. You were telling
Yeah.
me a story about the first Harryhausen movie that you saw.
Oh, yeah. Mysterious Island.
Mysterious Island.
Now-
For me, it was Jason and the Argonauts, but for you, it was Mysterious
It's not.
Island.
It's probably number 3 favourites. My favourites, First Men on the Moon. But
Which
the
we'll
fir-
talk about
yeah.
later.
well, the first Harryhausen movie I remember seeing on the cinema was Mysterious Island. Liverpool, early 1960s. My dad took me. I don't know if my brother was there or sister.
Which cinema was it? Do you remember?
The Astoria. in
The
Walton.
Astoria. Yeah.
So
yeah.
up to that point, I was enjoying it. I thought it was an adventure movie about these Confederates who escaped on a balloon. They got washed onto an island. So, yeah, it's a pretty good movie, this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they stood on this sort of like rock precipice, and it turns out to be a giant crab. And I'm thinking, oh my God.
It goes, yeah.
You know, it looks so real.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's sort of like,
Jules Verne novel.
yeah,
Mysterious
yeah.
Island. It features Captain Nemo, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a sequel
Who
to
is it that
20,000
plays
Leagues.
Nemo in that movie? Is it
Mysterious Island.
yeah,
It's Herbert Lom,
Herbert Lom, the Human Jungle.
Human Jungle.
The Human Jungle. And Herbert Lom's a almost forgotten actor, but you'll probably know him because he used to play Inspector Clouseau's boss, didn't he?
I think
In
so.
the Pink Panther movie. So if you want to know who Herbert
Yeah,
Lom
yeah,
is,
he did.
that's the guy. He was also in The Lady Killers, which is a fantastic British film comedy from the 1950s. He played he used to play this kind of swarthy gangster kind of thing. And I think was he Hungarian or something like that?
I'm not
But
sure.
he
I wouldn't
did a
like
lot of
to-
work in
I
Britain,
wouldn't like
didn't he?
to guess.
So we've got that. So you get into Harryhausen. It stays with you.
Yeah.
So you've done his. I want to show you at the end of this. Stay till the end because I want to show you the sculpture that's on my right hand side now because it's one of my favourite ever. But this also, if we can hold that up,
Yeah.
talk us through this one, will you, mate?
Yeah. Obviously, it's the one-horned Cyclops from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, which might be around 1959. So this is from the first early sequence of the Cyclops appearance in the movie,
Yeah.
where the sailors have stolen his lamp and they're trying to get away from him by on a boat in the sea. And basically, the Cyclops wades into the water. The boat gets capsized. The lamp goes underwater. But while he's chasing him, the sailors are throwing spears at him. So the way the arms are positioned, he's recoiling back from the spears being thrown
yeah,
at him.
yeah.
So the way I postured this was I wanted him to give the appearance that he was recoiling from this frontal attack. So
I mean,
that's
what I like about that is that it clearly saves you a bit of space. Have you done one with legs on since?
no, I did Talos with legs.
You did Talos with legs,
Yeah.
yeah. But the
Well-
thing is with this, it gives you a good size kit, but it saves you a bit of space, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's in the sea when he's being attacked, so
Yeah.
it's got this water
Lovely bit of
based.
water there. Nice
Yeah.
bit of water. Good stuff. And this one too. It's the Ymir, isn't it? From,
Ymir.
is it
20 million miles to Earth.
This has got a great scene where the creature fights an elephant.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
in
that
Rome.
scene. It's in Rome and he fights
Yeah.
an elephant in the Colosseum. So Ymir, you know, my favourite scene in that is when he does it. Harryhausen does it a lot. He has the creature on the table in front of you, and it grows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It grows
That's right.
bigger and bigger and bigger in front, and it reminds me of a scene in Valley of the Guanji when they get the little horse on the table.
Mhm.
And it's a masterful piece of work because you've got back projected people on that side of the table, you've got the model, and you've got people on this side of onto one side of the model, and it's all done through sort of real complex analog printing, isn't it? It's like printing film over film, and it's perfect. And in this one, it's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah, it's black and white.
It's
so
black and white, but you don't notice it's black and white because the action is so thrilling that it just moves on at a pace, that movie, doesn't it?
I don't even know what the actual colouring would have been. I don't think I've seen any colour stills from the movie, so I just decided
No,
to
I've seen
make
it
him
green. I've seen a
I've seen
lobby
it
card
brown
that's
as
been
well.
coloured in. I've seen it
Oh,
green,
right.
and yeah.
So no, that was
Yeah,
or
I
maybe
quite like.
or maybe I took my cue from Famous Monsters of Filmland, which had it as a cover.
Yeah, a lot of black and white movie makeup, which is for a black and white film, like Frankenstein's original makeup by Boris Karloff, was done in a green tone.
Yeah.
Because it shows up better on a black and white movie. Right. So it might have just been an arbitrary green, like the Frankenstein. So, but I like that. I do like the way, I could imagine having all of your work lined up on a shelf.
Right.
And collecting the whole lot, because they all have a similar scale.
Yeah.
And they all have a kind of characteristic feel about them, as I was saying earlier. The fact that they don't enhance the original, they actually copy the original.
The only time I sort of veered away from remaining faithful was with the Kraken, which we'll go on to the Kraken.
Yeah, we'll go on the Kraken. We'll do the Kraken now because we need to see this Kraken. This Kraken is once again. This might
be a bit dusty.
Oh no, but it's beautiful. I mean, look at the back. Look at the back. Look at the back. The back is as good as the front.
So if you're looking at it from a side view, I sort of made him in like a swan or a question mark.
Yeah, sort of like the serpentine kind of feel to it.
When I've seen other sort of models of the Kraken, he's upright and he's got a big long body, and to me,
it's like a lobster tail, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's sort of like
never really liked that.
It's in the water, so it looks as like it's a right angle.
Yeah.
But sort of the body under the surface of the ocean, and the body is upright. So with this one, I wanted to give the impression that he sort of coiled underneath
there's like
the
a
water.
curve in it. Yeah.
Now I've tried to remain faithful to Harryhausen's original sculpture, with the exception of the arms. Now, if you look at the shoulders, I've tilted the shoulders in at a 45-degree angle, whereas they would have been level. Mm-hmm. And it looks like an octopus if I had done it as originally formed. My idea is I wanted it to look as though it was more menacing with the arms coming towards you.
It looks a lot more animated than the actual figure itself.
It would have been difficult to achieve if I had kept the original design. So that's the only change I implemented, is to put the shoulders in at a 45-degree angle.
Do you think Harryhausen, when he came up with his concepts, he was looking at that originally? Because there's a similarity, isn't there, between these two creatures?
Maybe he recycled.
He
would
do
stuff.
a bit of
recycling.
I don't know. Right. Okay. So what I'm eager to do before we go on to what Terry's got in his mind about where he's going next, I want to talk about his latest one, because this just fills me with glee. I'm going to pick up the finished thing. You've probably seen it being built on the internet on various boards. But I'm going to do this very gently.
You need to hold it by the base.
I need to hold it by the base,
a lot of weight.
It's not glued on. It weighs an absolute ton. This is the moon calf from First Men
in the Moon. 1964.
Beautiful 1964 movie. Look at that. Look at the body. Look at the base. Did you paint this yourself?
Yeah.
Absolutely superb piece of painting, this. I mean, look at that. That is so chunky. Tell you what it reminds me of. Do you remember the Tingler?
Someone said that on the internet.
Oh, did they say that? Yeah. It's just occurred to me, it looks like the Vincent Price, wasn't it, the Tingler?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like a movie like The Asphyx, isn't it? What about when you're frightened, this creature appears. But that is, look at that. The crystals on the front, the slope of the body. Not only does it come in this version, can I just give it to you?
Sure.
So I don't want to do any damage to that. There's the base. There's the piece for the base that's going to be cast into the actual base, and you can see the stalagmite sticking up on the sloping base. So if you want the whole thing, you've got the whole thing. If you haven't got the space, we've got this. Now I'm just going to gently hold this up. So here's the head section, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's the bit in the film when it first appears, it pops out of a hole. So here's an alternative base section, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is the alternative round base section where you just use the head and the forefront of the body, and you can make another different kit. I mean, for me, I'd probably get all the bits for both and do both. But I just love this. And, people are often interested in how these things come about. I just want to show you some of the components. So, for instance, this is a body section. This is the tail section. You can see that these are they're beautifully chunky. If you're a sculptor and you had hold of one of these and you felt the weight and the chunkiness of it, you'd be so pleased. It's like getting a really big bar of chocolate at Christmas. And these are the detail parts, and you can see that these are the bits that get glued on, and you can see how they're put onto a plate. This is to aid casting, isn't it?
Yeah, so no silicon can seep underneath.
Exactly. So look at this. This is beautiful. All of these pieces go together. And obviously we've even got the lower mandibles. I was looking at this the other day. Lower mandibles. Single-sided mould for them, isn't it? Because you don't need any detail on the back.
No.
I just love it. I just love it. I mean, I keep saying this is an underrated film, isn't it?
Well, it's my favourite Harryhausen. So
yeah. Tell us why you love it, because I love it for various reasons.
Well, a lot of the other Harryhausens that are more famous, like Jason the Argonauts and the Sinbad movies, the fantasy, but I mean, with things like Outer Limits and Doctor Who, I'm more sort of leaning towards science fiction, and First Men on the Moon is a science fiction movie. I mean, the first part of it, it's sort of it's Earthbound with Lionel Jeffries, Edward Jordan, Martha Hire in Victorian England. But once they board the Cavorite sphere and they head off into the moon, it just takes on its own personality. And it's, I think it was the
civilization under the moon surface is so realistically created, isn't it?
I also think it's the first widescreen format Harryhausen film.
Right. Okay.
The earlier movies, they weren't widescreen. Although you'll get them on DVD or Blu-ray, and they're reformatted for widescreen. Mm-hmm. They were not true widescreen movies, whereas First Men on the Moon was first widescreen, and it looks absolutely glorious on the cinema. I mean, if you've seen it on TV and sort of like...
Yeah, it's edited. It's cut down, isn't it? It's anamorphic, is it, or whatever they call it? Is it chopped down?
Yeah. So it's not quite the same.
If you see it on the cinema, or you get the DVD, and on the DVD, I think the remastered one, you can have it in different formats. Put it in its original. Is it like a Panavision? Really letterbox, isn't it? It's really wide. And when you see the battle between the Mooncalf and the, you know, it's done on such a great scale. Can you just lift it up a bit and let them see the face on that? Because I just love the face on that. I just love the face on it. Look, if we just turn it round to the camera, look at that. It's like a movie prop, that, mate. It's like a movie prop. And what size is it, depending? What size would it be originally? Do you think it's about the same size or slightly bigger? I
can tell you how I determined the size of this sculpture. If you have a look at the eyes, perfectly matched.
Yeah.
It started off as a boiled egg. So I've got a boiled egg. I've got some monster clay that had melted down.
Right.
And basically, boiled egg that went into the monster clay.
Right.
Put that in the freezer to solidify the monster clay. Removed the egg.
Right.
And that was the basis for the two eyes. So the size of the boiled egg basically determined the size of the model.
Oh, that's just genius, mate. That is just... This is what goes on in the mind of a sculptor, especially one that hasn't been trained. Somebody that's learned it as they go along. You learn some really useful techniques that they won't tell you at art school, but they work, and that is one of them. So that, to me, is your piece de la resistance. Apologies to any French speakers out there. I know who you are, and I know you're watching. So... you've got things going on that you're thinking of doing, aren't you? And this brings us to one of my other favourite subjects down here. So, I'm going to lift these up very carefully because I have in my hand something which to me is priceless. Priceless. So, Spider-Man villains. Come on, tell us about your Spider-Man villains.
Right, there we go.
So there's the Green Goblin.
There's the Green Goblin.
And that's the Green Goblin based on Steve Ditko cartoon.
Steve Ditko co-created the Amazing Spider-Man in 1962. Appeared in the final comic book of a title called Amazing Adult Fantasy number 15.
Yeah.
And it took off. So Spider-Man, some months later, was given his own title.
That's the Ditko Spider-Man. That's
so this
Ditko
is based
Green Goblin.
Yeah, it's based on Ditko's original
artwork.
Yeah. So that's the Green Goblin. and I'm planning to do more Ditko style villains. I mean, Dr. Octopus is going to be coming up within a matter of months, but that's an original Steve Ditko.
If anybody is anybody truly into Marvel, and they heard the word Ditko, that is a real Steve Ditko piece of artwork. He drew that with black ink pen on a sheet of paper. That's by actual Ditko himself. That's an original. It's a bit like it's like a Jack Kirby or a Herb Trimp or a Mike Plug or a John Buscema. This is the real thing. Luckily it's in a plastic bag. If you see, sadly Steve Ditko's dead, but in the future, if I was a mad scientist, I would scan that for his DNA and I would grow another Steve Ditko. I just would. I'm sorry, I just would.
Well, the thing, this is from issue number 32, which is part 2 of a 3-part trilogy featuring Dr. Octopus as the master planner. Now, for the first part of the story in issue 31, he's a mysterious villain. We don't yet know who he is, and Dr. Octopus has got this secret underwater base built.
Obviously,
and
it's Dr. Octopus.
so this is basically an establishing shot for issue number 2. It's the page 1 art, and on the next page you find out that Dr. Octopus is the master planner. So there's no villains on it. It's just purely an establishing shot. You don't see Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man until a few pages later.
It would be, if it did have Spider-Man or Dr. Octopus in it, it would be priceless, wouldn't it? You would be paying a lot of money for that, wouldn't you?
Well, that was barely affordable. I'll give you an idea of prices for the original Steve Ditko art. Yeah. Routine interior pages featuring Spider-Man would fetch over $100,000.
Eye-watering.
The splash page 1 for issue number 25 that we sold a few months ago, I think, for over $400,000. So the sort of better content, you're looking $500,000 or more now.
Yeah. Sort of really famous pages.
Yeah. I mean, the price is.
Imagine having the page with the Green Goblin on his flying thing.
Yeah,
over New York. That would be a great thing.
And that's that's the cover to issue number 39, which John Romita Senior.
John Romita.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So American stuff, but British stuff as well.
Yeah.
So what's next on the what's next on it?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the Dan Dare sculpture. So this is a page of original hand-drawn artwork by the creator of Dan Dare, Frank Hampson.
So this is from the publishers, and you can see that this here, there you go. So this shows you somehow the photographic reproduction methods of the day. That this thing would probably find itself onto another page of work next month and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's
for those of you that remember pre-decimalisation, that's 4.5 old pennies, which is 2.5 pence. 2.5 new pennies.
This is Frank Hampson artwork. He was the creator of Dare, as I think you mentioned. There's another Hampson page. I haven't put the logo on this, but
you can
see the Mekon in one of the panels.
You can see this is pre-production as well, because the lettering that would normally go into these blank boxes here is missing. You've got the lettering by the letterer. In those days, it was a job in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hampson would do the artwork in full colour, and then it would be photographed, pasted on, rephotographed, and the story would then be imposed into there. And you can see it says infrared. And basically, one of the things that they used to do was when you were correcting mistakes and stuff in the olden days, you had certain different types of paint, like process white and stuff to put. And I can't remember what it is, but when you do photographs in the printing process, I think it skips the red, doesn't it? And it just takes a picture of everything else. I don't know.
Well, the Eagle magazine, which debuted in 1950, a bit before my time, believe it or not.
But legendary.
It was printed in the place called Benrose Printers in Liverpool and in Aintree, and they
Yeah,
used a thing called photogravure press.
Photogravure, yeah.
And they did tests on colours. They did colour tests to see if the photogravure process would bring out the colours, and it sort of gave them an idea what would work and what colours might cause problems.
Because colours for a comic book, full
For
colour like that.
Yeah.
The Eagle pretty much was the original one to have that quality of colour, wasn't it?
Well, it was basically, it was photographed,
Yeah.
whereas the American comic books, they're produced in colour separations.
Colour separations,
Yeah.
else of
So
colour.
that's-
that's why
that's
they
where
don't.
the idea
That's
of
why they don't
full
always
colour.
register, do they?
Yeah,
These
yeah.
always registered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as I say,
That's
there's
beautiful.
Mekon features on this
The Mekon.
page.
So you're going to do a Mekon? Have you already done a Mekon?
Not someone else has done a Mekon. I like to do stuff that hasn't been done to death by others. So, no.
So
Sorry, wrong one.
wrong one. I think it's at the back there. It's fallen down, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's another Frank Hampson Dan Dare cover. So, as I say, next sculpting project after I finish the Sontaran, which I'm currently working on, is going to be a Dan Dare bust. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do him in his uniform with a forage cap on or
His spacesuit.
spacesuit. Spacesuit would be easier. So
Yeah.
might
I like the. I'd like to see both, mate. Couldn't you not reuse the original face and do both?
Possibly, but not
Because
one
the
after
Space
other.
Fleet formal uniform is very RAF, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And I think it would be nice to have that duality when you've got him in his formal dress uniform, and then you've got him in his famous spacesuit. Because if you look at the spacesuits from Frank Hampson, and Frank Hampson's just general detail, they're sort of almost like an Art Deco science fiction. They have been very influential on lots of other things, haven't they? When you look at modern sci-fi, particularly Doctor Who, you can see a bit of Frank Hampson in there, can't you?
Well, the second Doctor Who story, which featured the Daleks, was written by a guy called Terry Nation. Terry Nation was a comedy writer. I think he wrote for Hancock's Half Hour. So there's actually elements of the first Dalek story that correspond with the first Dan Dare story.
Yeah. And I think the Daleks do look very Frank Hampson myself.
So no, it's the idea of you have the Daleks and the Thals. And on the planet Venus,
So
you
you've
know,
got
the
the
Mekon
Mekons
and the Atlantines. So
yeah.
I'm convinced that Terry Nation actually he drew his
bit of
inspiration. So there's two more Dan Dare stories. One's called Operation Saturn, which is very similar to the Dalek Master Plan, which featured a villain called Maverick Shen, who basically the Daleks were conspiring with some of the outer planets to form an invasion fleet, and it's very, very similar as a story structure to Dan Dare's Operation Saturn. And then you've got Reign of the Robots, where Dan and company arrive back on Earth, and it's desolate. So they arrive in London, and it's completely empty of any traceable humans, and they're pursued by a fleet of robots.
Right.
Now, if you watch the Dalek invasion of Earth, the beginning is actually...
And you've also got later on in the 70s and 80s, of course, you've got Robot Wars in 2000 AD, which absorbed the reissue of the Eagle, because they redid the Eagle, didn't they, as a sort of more modern comic.
The update.
Updated edition wasn't much good, but it got absorbed into 2000 AD. Sadly, we're running out of time. I could sit here with another couple of hours, because I'd already did near enough an hour talking to Terry before we did this. So I hope we've covered everything we need to do. We're going to run out of time, but what I want to say is a great big thank you to Terry for coming. You know, you know, when I see stuff like Terry's, I kind of feel like almost like I'm meeting one of my heroes. So I really must thank him for everything he's given us today, and to be able to hold some original pages of a Steve Ditko and the lobby cards from Outer Limits. It's been pretty much amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will come back. We'll be back next week, and have a great time. Bye-bye.
Bye.